Alright, so the smartphone market is weird right now. A few years ago, if you paid 10,000 rupees extra for a phone, you would usually get a significantly better processor, better cameras, better display, and an overall flagship experience. But in 2026, things aren't that simple anymore. Take these two phones for example. The Redmi Turbo 5 starts around 38,000 rupees, while the Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus costs roughly 48,000 rupees, a 10,000 rupees difference. But here's where things get interesting. Both phones are powered by the MediaTek's Dimensity 8500 chipset. Redmi calls it the Dimensity 8500 Ultra, Motorola calls it the Dimensity 8500 Extreme. But at the end of the day, they are based on the same silicon. So the obvious question is, if performance is nearly identical, why should anyone spend 10,000 rupees extra on the Motorola? Is the Edge 70 Pro Plus actually a better phone, or is the Redmi Turbo 5 simply the smarter purchase? Well, that's exactly what we are going to find out. But before I jump into it, if you are new here, I am Siddharth Malhotra and you're watching Digit, where we bring you detailed, non-nonsense gadget reviews and comparisons. Let's start with the design. And honestly, this is where Motorola immediately makes a strong first impression. The Edge 70 Pro Plus is one of the slimmest phones in this segment at just 7.19 mm thick. And despite packing a massive 6500 mAh battery, it weighs only around 190 grams. The moment you pick it up, it feels premium. The silk-inspired finish on the back feels unique, the deep red color looks fantastic, and overall, it gives off a much more expensive vibe than its price suggests. Now don't get me wrong, the Redmi Turbo 5 is also a good looking phone. The glass back feels premium, the red accents around the camera module look nice, and you even get the matrix lighting ring inside the camera module that glows while playing music. When it comes to durability, you get IP66, IP68, IP69 and even IP69K certification and SGS certification on the Redmi Turbo 5. Motorola offers IP68 and IP69 protection along with military standard 810H certification. So both phones are extremely durable, but if you ask me which one feels more premium in hand, the Motorola wins quite comfortably. It's lighter, thinner and simply more elegant. Now let's talk about performance, because this is the biggest reason behind this comparison. As I mentioned earlier, both phones are powered by the Dimensity 8500 platform. Redmi calls it Ultra, Motorola calls it Extreme, and naturally I wanted to see if there was any actual difference. So I ran all the benchmarks. In Antutu, Redmi scored around 2.08 million while Motorola scored around 1.40 million. In Geekbench, Redmi delivered 1604 in single core and 6359 in multi-core. Motorola scored 1749 in single core and 6741 in multi-core. In CPU throttling test, Redmi maintained 81% performance while Motorola settled around 71%. And in 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme test, both phones were extremely close. Looking at all these numbers, the results are honestly all over the place. But here's the reality. None of it matters in daily use, because during actual usage, both phones feel equally fast, apps open instantly, multitasking is smooth, RAM management is excellent, animations are fluid, and neither phone gives you any reason to complain. Gaming is equally impressive. BGMI runs at 120 FPS on both devices. CODM also supports 120 FPS. Frame rates remain stable and neither device struggles. The only thing worth mentioning is that Redmi does heat up a bit more during extended gaming sessions, and it also gets warm while running benchmarks. Moving on to the display, the Redmi Turbo 5 features a 6.59-inch AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate, while the Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus comes with a larger 6.8-inch Extreme AMOLED display running at 144Hz refresh rate. Both phones have excellent displays, and honestly, you can't really call either of them bad. Scrolling is incredibly smooth on both devices, animations are fluid, and neither display ever feels choppy. Visibility outdoors is also fantastic. Even under harsh sunlight, I had absolutely no trouble reading content. By the way, I also test these displays. So in our testing, the Motorola reached around 3110 nits of peak brightness, while the Redmi peaked at approximately 2860 nits. Now on paper, Redmi actually support more HDR formats. You get HDR10, HDR Vivid, and Dolby Vision support. Motorola supports HDR10+, but specifications only tell half the story. Because in actual usage, I consistently preferred the Motorola display. The colors look richer, the panels feels more immersive, and content simply pops more. Motorola's quad curved AMOLED display also adds to the premium experience while watching Netflix, YouTube, or HDR content. Viewing angles are excellent, colors reproduction is better, and overall it feels like the more refined display. Let's move to software. Motorola ships with Hello UI based on Android 16, Redmi comes with HyperOS 3 based on Android 16. Now, if you have followed Motorola over the last few years, you will know that one of its biggest trends has always been clean software. But things have changed slightly. This year, Motorola has added more pre-installed apps, newsroom, app suggestions, recommended games, and a few other extras. You can remove everything, but it still feels unnecessary. Redmi also comes with pre-installed apps which can be removed easily. So neither phone is completely clean anymore. That said, I still prefer Motorola's software. In terms of software, Motorola promises 300 updates and 6 years of security patches, while the Redmi promises 400 updates and 6 years of security patches. Now let's talk about the cameras, because this is where things start getting interesting. The Redmi Turbo 5 comes with a 50 megapixel Sony IMX882 main camera and an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera. On the front, you get a 20 megapixel selfie shooter. The Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus, on the other hand, comes with a triple camera setup. You get a 50 megapixel Sony latest 710 primary sensor, a 50 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a 50 megapixel 3.x periscope telephoto lens. And for selfies, there's a 50 megapixel front camera. Starting with the primary camera, Motorola consistently delivers better looking images. Colors appear more balanced and natural. The clarity is more consistent across different lighting conditions, and skin tones generally look more accurate. The Redmi tends to over-sharpen facial textures, which can sometimes make images look a bit artificial. Exposure handling is fairly similar on both devices, although HDR performance could have been better on both. Still, Motorola does have the upper hand here. Moving over to portrait mode, the main camera portrait from the Redmi actually look better in many situations. There's good edge detection, the images have more contrast, and overall, they can appear more visually appealing straight out of the camera. Motorola has a tendency to brighten faces while shooting human subjects. By the way, there is a dedicated periscope telephoto lens on the Motorola that gives you an advantage of longer focal lengths. However, its performance varies. The results are kinda hit and miss, and in tricky lighting, it sometimes struggles. Motorola's ultra-wide camera images have significantly more detail, better dynamic range, and much more natural color reproduction. The Redmi's 8 megapixel ultra-wide simply cannot keep up. And finally, selfies. Motorola wins this one quite comfortably. The selfies have better detail, better texture reproduction, and more natural colors. Even in portrait mode, the edge detection is better on the Motorola. Now let's talk about battery life. Motorola packs a 6500 mAh battery with 90-watt charging. Redmi packs a massive 7540 mAh battery with 100-watt fast charging. Charging speeds were almost identical. Motorola took 1 hour and 12 minutes to charge fully from 0%. Redmi took 1 hour and 11 minutes. In our PCMark battery test, Redmi delivered 18 hours and 2 minutes. Motorola delivers 15 hours and 55 minutes. That's a big gap. And in daily use, Redmi consistently lasts longer. Now let's answer the big question. Should you spend 10,000 rupees extra on the Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus? And honestly, the answer depends entirely on what you are looking for. If performance, gaming, battery life, and software support are your priorities, then the Redmi Turbo 5 is the smarter purchase. You're getting virtually the same performance, bigger battery, longer software support, and you are saving 10,000 rupees in the process. However, if you want a phone that feels more premium every time you pick it up, has a better display, cleaner software experience, a more complete camera system, and an overall flagship-like feel, then the Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus justifies its premium. Personally, if I was spending my own money and cameras weren't a major concern, I would probably pick the Redmi Turbo 5 because the value proposition is simply too good. But if you want the more complete smartphone experience and don't mind paying extra for it, the Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus makes sense. And that's what makes this comparison so interesting. The Redmi Turbo 5 wins on value, the Motorola Edge 70 Pro Plus wins on experience. The choice ultimately comes down to which one matters more to you. So which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.